Do you know where I parked my car?
Hi, and welcome to this video for multimodal training with Fizgig for MiniMax. Basically what it's about is using audio files, video files, and photos in one data set. MP3s, WAVs, whatever you want. Now, to make that possible, bundled with Fizgig, there's now a dataset preparation tool called Gizmo. You can launch it from the Fizgig folder with its own launcher, or you can launch it from the Image Prep tab. So I'm just going to minimize Fizgig for a minute and just give you a quick run through of this. You've got video mode and audio mode. In video mode, you can drag that's actually a previous data set from the previous video. You can drag video files directly onto it. So if I go into here, you can see the preset lengths that are allowable for training clips by MiniMax. So you can pick one, say I want a 1.62 second segment, and then you could choose where that segment starts, where it's going to end. You can play it so you can hear it. You can also decide whether or not you want this video clip to be used for training for just video or video and audio. It does that by changing the file name, and Fizgig knows that if it sees the mute in the file name to not use the audio for training. You can choose a cropped area, free crop, or choosing an aspect of your choice. And then you can do multiple, so you could have a 5-minute video or an hour-long video, take a ton of clips out as you prepare each of them and line them up. So say you've chosen the length and you've chosen the start point, you hit add to queue with each, and then once you're done, hit export queue. Now it puts them in a folder, which you can just copy to your dataset folder, all the contents, along with where your photos already are, and the caption tool in Fizgig will actually caption them. So you'll see here the video file, and how it does is it captions it by picking out the middle frame of a given clip, and that's how it captions it. And you can obviously modify that caption to include motion words or whatever you wish, but that middle frame is a good starting point for a caption. Now, if I go up to audio, you can drag a video file onto the audio tab. Say you just want the audio from a video file. You've got your preset lengths. You line up what you want, just similar to video. You can hit transcribe, and it will also transcribe it. I recommend using the common trigger word across your images and videos and audio files to bind them to one character if you're training a character. And then you queue them up in just the same way and then export all at once. So in other words, do multiple stuff from one video. There is a built-in audio recorder which can prompt you with sentences, or you can use free speech mode where you just record a long clip. And basically what that does is, I'm actually going to say that again, or you can use free speech mode and just do a long clip, and what that will And there is also a mic mode where you can effectively hit record and be prompted with sentences to say, or use a free speech mode, which essentially allows you to speak a long clip and then just cut down the segments from it and cue them like I demonstrated to you already. Now, I think I already mentioned, the transcription, basically you do in here for audio, and then they get dumped in effectively with the audio files, the little text files to go with them, with the transcription and the trigger word, which can then be copied to your dataset folder in Fizgig. So let's go into Fizgig now. And so you see I've got my dataset folder, Image Prep, which we're not using. If you want more about Image Prep, look at previous videos. This video is about the difference between the regular picture training with MiniMax and the picture, audio, and video training we're doing now. The Captions tab, it actually draws attention to the fact that there are 26 audio files in the training set. Their captions are handled in Gizmo. The grid below shows only images and clips. So we've got the clip there, and we've got the photos there. And if I go to the Samples tab, You can now pick your model from the samples tab, so you don't have to go into training, choose your model and go back to samples. And you can finally do video previews, and it works with 16 gigs of RAM. I recommend if you've got less, definitely try to go into stills, though I haven't tried with MiniMax with less than 16. It defaults to 768 by 768, which again, as I verified, works with 16. If it does run into memory issues, it steps down to lower res until it finds one that works. It does use the turbo Lora now, 6 steps at 75%, and if you just upgraded Fizgig, you probably got prompted to come to the MiniMax section of the model paths, and there's a little, if you don't have the turbo Lora, you can hit download and it will just stick it in there for you, or of course you can navigate to it. So now that we're on the training tab, I'm going to call this voice, video, photo. I'm going to go to the fast preset. I'm going to leave it all on default, including likeness and style. This option here about model default movement, that is better if you're training a comp center around movement and not around likeness. But if it's around likeness, use this likeness and style preset. If your data set was had vastly more photos and videos than it did voice files, say, because as I said, we're using WAVs here, which are a separate category to the video and stills, you can choose to finish training on one specific type of data at an earlier epoch than the rest. And that can be handy if your data set is unbalanced. And you can also choose whether that category stops hard, or which is there, and that means much faster epochs, or just continues at a 10th of the learning rate. I've experimented with both. They both work well. I'm keen to hear people's results with that. But yeah, leave everything at default. We've given it a name. We're on the fast preset, and you don't need to touch anything anywhere else. And I'm just going to hit start training. And let's also open up the samples gallery. The little video previews are playable in the samples gallery as well. We will probably get one for Epoch 0, i.e. pre-training, shortly. So we're getting there. Just confirming that it's training int 8. And yeah, int 8 now works at 16 gig. It used to go NF4 for 16 gig, but not anymore. So you get higher accuracy. And it's a little bit faster too. So it's doing the previews now. So obviously video previews, they take slightly longer than, though they do, I find they do speed up by the second epoch onwards, but with it still, I guess, loading everything in, this first epoch, the preview takes a little longer. But having the turbo Lora, quite frankly, makes an enormous difference. And certainly more comparable to how you use this stuff in Comfy UI anyway. So any moment we'll get, this refreshes every 10 seconds, but after it's going to start the actual normal training now. Okay, if you're into training, so if I hit refresh, yeah, so that's just epoch 0. So we'll just see how it goes. I'm going to walk away from the computer for a while. Gonna go and probably play some games with my son. Check back on this later. We'll probably fast forward some bits of this to save you the pain. But once we get to a complete state, we can go through the epochs and do some tests in Comfy UI. One thing I'd also like to say at this point, by the way, just while we're waiting for the second epoch, is that I recommend the training for video, for using video files, is best used for when you're training something new the model doesn't know already, because it does slow down the training. And with photos and audio files only, it's really very, very fast. The video does slow down the steps. So I think that would be the one takeaway that I have. Video is definitely worthwhile, but you might as well use it for what it's good at rather than slowing down the train, because quite frankly, training MiniMax on photos and audio, when it's done right, does not diminish the model's video ability. So we're at 100%, and the look is there.
Hello, how are you today?
And about 70% of the voice. So I'm going to show you a handy way we can extend the training just for voice. So I'm going to put the epochs up to 70. It's worth bearing in mind, by the way, I had far less audio samples than I had photos, so it kind of makes sense that maybe the picture's ready but the voice isn't. So I'm going to say finish. So we're at epoch 40. So I'm going to say finish voice after epoch 40, stop completely. So it's basically going to do another 30 epochs on just audio. So I've raised my epochs to 70, even though it's complete. Stop. Sorry, finish photos and clips after epoch 40, stop completely. And now we go down to resume. We get the last state folder, which is 40. Select it. You don't have to go into it, you just select it. Though on Linux, you have to go into it. But there you go. And let's hit start training. So we're at epoch 70 now. I'm just going to click into epoch 70.
Hello, how are you today?
That's actually bang on, like bang on. But I want to show you something else. So we stopped training photos at epoch 40. And if you look, there were lots of changes up until 40 between epochs. But because we switched to audio only training, it stayed more or less identical with just tiny detail shifts the whole way through. So that is a very effective way of continuing the audio. And if I go back to epoch 40, for instance.
Hello, how are you today?
There's a weird sound in that voice compared to,
Hello, how are you today?
which is much more like me, but also has less distortion. So it is bedded in. So the next thing really is to try it in Comfy UI.
This is a really crappy dataset. I just stood on a fucking rock.
So we have Comfy UI up now. It's got the Epoch 70 at 1.0 strength. I have started recently using the EMA Turbo Lora a bit, this version of the 600 step one, just because I find it actually helps with audio quality versus the non-EMA version. So I have a prompt here, which is kind of following the prompt guidelines, which is basically me in a suit with a snail on my shoulder walking towards the camera in a steampunk computer and a synthwave pop music playing in the background. So we're going to do more than one. So let's just hit run. And let's also, for the next one after this, make sure the seed after is random.
Do you know where I parked my car? Do you know where I parked my car?
So the voice is bang on. So let's do another
Do you
seed.
know where I parked my car? Do you know where I parked my car? Do you know?
So I think with the OBS recording, once I hit start to sample the next one, the sound got a bit funky. So I've just paused that little video playing while Comfy chews up the VRAM. one after this. Let's try this one. Here we go.
Do you know where I parked my car?
So it's quite consistent. Let's just change this next one up a bit. So overall soundscape, seaside, sounds, I'm going to leave the synthwave the way it is. Location is small island on the shore, sitting in the mouth of a sitting in the mouth of a whale. It's going to be pretty odd. Let me put giant whale. I'll leave myself wearing a Dracula suit. And suit looks at the camera. Okay, let's just hit play and see what we get here. Judging by that preview, it's going to start from what looks like an above view. We'll soon find out.
Do you know where I parked my car?
It didn't put me in the whale mouth. That's kind of bizarre. And let's have it actually say something different. Sings and screams. Get me in and out of here. 3 exclamation marks. Location is, I think, on the island, on the shore. Conflicted with sitting in the mouth of a giant whale is sitting in the mouth of a giant whale. Okay, let's hit play. I'm not sure what this is going to be. But hopefully you get the vibe at this point that you absolutely can train character or voice with this easily at the same time. And like I said before, I actually would recommend not using the video clips unless you really need to. Didn't need video for this. Could have trained it 5 times quicker.
Get me out of here.